right, once again, Soul Finder Podcast. If you listen to these things in order, you know what the topic is for this one, because Kathy brought it up in the last episode. But you don't necessarily need to listen to them in order, because every episode stands on its own. In the last episode, we talked about backwards thinking. At the end of the episode, you brought up, I basically call it overthinking.
Right.
What kind of brain do you call it?
I call it the left brain because that's the analytical side of the brain.
How it can really get in the way of us just living life and solving problems.
Yes, because balance would have the right brain, which is more creative and leading with your heart, and the left brain is more analytical, scientific analysis, deductive thinking, that type of thing. So when we're unbalanced and we lean, well, there's another thing I have to put in here. So I believe that part of the healing path and the evolving of your soul involves getting control of your thoughts. So that means getting control of your brain, your mind, because it is supposed to be a tool that we use at our discretion. However, most of the people on the planet, not knowing that that's what we're supposed to do with the mind, the brain, have allowed it to be in control of them. In other words, I call it the runaway brain, because the person with the runaway brain is the person that has, for example, the monkey brain, some refer to it, where you have continuous thoughts and you can't, no matter what you try doing, you can't calm yourself down to meditate. You can't find peace. You probably have anxiety. You have a lot of stress. And a lot of times this is a result of the runaway brain. So in my teaching, when I help people to evolve on the healing path, we have to become aware of that before we can honestly do the work we need to do that helps to a person to get control of their brain. So they're in control of their thoughts, because that's what a lot of people that's beginning the path, they don't understand, they don't know how to do. And that is one of the, I call it now, I refer to it as there's phases of the healing path, just like children go through different developmental phases as they get older and older. And that's what we go through, these phases of evolving our soul while we're on earth. And that's one of them, is getting control of the brain so that it's not on runaway.
But it's real easy to get on runaway.
Oh, are you kidding? Of course. Of course it is.
And you may have alluded to this, but we're kind of taught to get on runaway.
See, there's another one of how we're taught wrong. We're taught that. We're taught how not to evolve our soul. We're taught how to stay in the mud hole or the low frequency.
I kind of, I look at some things that we're taught to do, and I understand, okay, for example, let's make a pros and cons list. Mm-hmm. Okay. I understand the logic there, and I've done it before, but it can really distract you from actually solving an issue if all you're trying to do is analyze it.
Yes, because they have proven scientifically that the heart is the center of our makeup. It is more important than the brain. It is the first organ of origin, if you want to say, of our makeup. It is what is more important than anything else. Mm-hmm. And if we're taught not to listen to our heart, we're taught to go analyze and deduct and do all the left brain stuff. And that's another way we have been taught the wrong way in order to keep us from evolving our soul.
Good intentions. people who teach us to do things.
Yes, of course.
But that doesn't mean they're correct.
Right. And it's like, I question myself. Is what I'm teaching, do I still believe it to be what I believe? Because I couldn't teach something if I didn't. But I still check in with myself, and some things have changed. As you evolve your soul and you move on the healing path, if your inner moral code and the things that you believe in and the things that are true for you don't change, I would question if you were really evolving or not, because it has to change.
That's a great point. And you should be able to see that too, and definitely be able to feel it.
Yes. Yes.
Can you give some example of how you feel that change?
Oh, that's a good one.
I'm putting you on the spot. I know that I am.
Well, the first thing that most people aren't doing that they would have to do is feel. And that's the hardest thing for people on earth to understand, is that the human body that our eternal soul gets to unite with, the human body is magnificent beyond belief. It can do so many things. And until we learn emotions and we learn how to feel, we cannot let it operate at its fullest capacity. So, by that, what I'm saying is the dashboard to this vehicle that we get to have on Earth is emotions. It's no different than the dashboard in your car. So emotions exist on this planet, the duality and the emotions, because that is what helps us evolve our soul. And until we learn to honor, recognize, and feel each and every one of the emotions, we haven't even begun our path yet.
So don't fight the emotions.
Don't fight the emotions, because what you're wanting to do is learn to feel them, heal them, release them. Meaning, when we don't feel them, heal them, release them, which is what I have in my book, in your energy field, if you're not feeling, healing, and releasing emotions as they occur, you're storing them. You're storing them into your energy field. You feel them immediately, but then you immediately get away from them, so you don't have to feel them. That's what all addictions come from. And we push them away, but they're pushed into our energy field. And then that's where it creates illness.
Okay, let me do what I do a lot, where I equate things to sports to make it more simple-minded for me and people like me.
Yes.
On the emotional part,
Yes.
we're taught, and I think to me, I don't think we're taught wrong, but I think we misinterpret what it really means.
Okay.
Because like in sports or any type of leadership position, your soldiers, your teammates, your employees, they follow the lead of the boss. Okay? And so some of the best leaders are the ones that when things are freaking out, when their emotions are at the highest level, they don't show it.
Okay, so I get okay, go ahead.
And I think that I think you can still feel the emotions without reacting to them. I think you can accomplish both goals. Where just because you know you're in an emotional situation doesn't mean you need to be freaking out.
No.
Doesn't mean that anyone needs to see that you are in an emotional situation.
No. Because as you learn to honor your emotions and understand them, you are able... Okay, so let me say this, I think would help. The person that freaks out, the person that loses it, is a person that has a huge amount of stored emotion in their energy field. So when they get triggered, there's a huge energy behind it. Now, if they have learned emotions and they know how to feel it, heal it, release it, and they do not have a huge amount of stored emotion in their energy field, then they will be able to have the meeting, have the people out there. They may get angry from something that is said, but they don't lose control, but they're not storing it. It's not an internal energy use of, what's the word? The tension, the holding it. Because everyone that holds stored emotion is expending tremendous energy to do so.
Without a doubt.
Tremendous energy. But when you don't have a lot of stored emotion in your energy field, and what I'm referring to is to feel it, heal it, release it, it doesn't mean that you do it in the moment. It means that you may have that episode, and then you go home that night and you release the rest of the emotion that you had from that episode.
And it doesn't mean you're punching holes through walls.
No, but you could be punching a bag, or you could be beating up a box. Yeah. You're using your anger room, as I call it, to release that emotion out so you're not storing it away in your energy field.
Very interesting. All right. And recognition, as you point out, recognition is key to all sorts of stuff.
Yes, it is. But see, we're taught not to feel. We're taught not to recognize. And even if you're taught to recognize some emotions, look at what's done with anger. Oh no, you can't. You don't honor anger.
Yeah.
You can't have anger. It's not a good emotion. And they divide it and they judge it and they close it away. But it's only the person that has all this stored anger that can go on a shooting spree, because that's what fuels that shooting spree, because they have got so much stored emotion, they've lost control, because stored emotion has a lot of energy, and you can only control it for so long, because you will end up projecting your emotion onto someone by blowing up and cussing them out or having a fight with them. And that comes from a huge amount of stored emotion.
And it's not good for anyone.
No, not at all.
And causes a lot more problems than
the projecting,
you probably had in the beginning.
Yes, the projecting of anger onto another human or an animal or any living thing, in my opinion, is a very immature, unhealthy reaction, and they're just at that very baby stage of evolving their soul because they haven't learned how to handle emotions.
That makes sense. Like a lot of things you say, it just makes sense on any level.
Yeah, emotions should be taught in school. I mean, it's a huge thing. If we had healed parents raising children, we wouldn't have all of this cycle that just keeps repeating itself. It's the victim-survivor pattern that repeats itself of the abuse, of the not knowing how to feel, not wanting to feel, because we find all these addictions to keep from feeling. And a lot of times it's staying busy. It can be things besides what typically is considered an addiction. It's not just the people that go to the drugs and the alcohol. It's the people that are out there rescuing everybody, whether it's animals or people. They're out there staying busy. Oh, I'm helping everybody. I'm the saint. But they're avoiding feeling their own emotions. They try to look like the saint, but in reality, they're not, because they're not a good role model for everybody else.
Well, that makes it exactly the opposite, because you know who knows they're not a saint? The person who's trying to act like the saint. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot to...
Well, and that is what can bring a person to me, because they know that something's wrong. They know that something's in discord. They don't know what it is, though. Because until you understand the process and you understand emotions, you don't know that you're doing all those things. I spent my entire life not knowing how to get out of that awful feeling and all that tension and all that energy I was using to keep the emotion stored.
Gotcha. Okay, I've got a surprise topic for you for the next episode.
Good. I love it.
So I'll throw you a curveball in the next episode. KathyDCarter.com. Please go there. Search for the archive of podcasts. You can find the audio stream there. But more importantly, you can find out all about Kathy's journey. Not only can you go back and listen to some episodes to where we talk about your journey, but it's very well written. And the information's all right there for people to look at. And you can see exactly what Kathy's been through and what she has to offer you, and you can learn. You can learn a ton from Kathy D. Carter at kathydcarter.com.